In 1953, I was still in Nagoya, Japan. My best friend, Jim Ernst, in tech school days in Oklahoma, came up for leave and we took a trip to Tokyo. Picture of Jim standing in one of the gateways to one of the buildings around the moat, an imperial palace. And here's a picture of me, same place. I didn't feel too self-conscious though, Jim. We were both on the skinny side. This is one of the bridges going over the moat into the Imperial Palace. I printed these pictures myself. Some are going to be light, some are going to be dark because I got the contrast in different type papers. Another bridge. Also, it was rainy weather that day, so sometimes the sun was shining real bright. And it was really overcast and dark. My main memory of Tokyo is very expensive. In 1953, even as a single GI, we couldn't afford many of the hotels and night spots. The Palace grounds is a #1 tourist attraction for the Japanese. In Japan, all the school children wear uniforms, so when you see these little men or guys in black uniforms, they're actually school children and not military. And the girls all dress in black, like Catholic schools in the United States. This is one of the main entry gates into the palace grounds. It's only open on special occasions. No tourists can go inside. I like this shot I made with the difference in texture and the contrast for the gate here in front, the wrought iron fence and the bridge. This is another main entryway into the palace grounds. This picture's so large, that's the only way I can show most of it, just slide it through here. I like the shot, but I should have printed a little darker. So this pine tree going up over the top, it really makes a good composition. Again, this is one of those gates where tourists can't go through. Heavily guarded, of course. Another shot of the gym. As you can see, those Hawaiian shirts were popular in those times. I must have had 25 of them in Roseville. Jim looks like still wearing his. Palace grounds right downtown in the heart of Tokyo. And I don't know how many acres they cover, but it's very extensive, and the moat goes completely around it. So it's quite a ride or a walk getting around the place. So to get around, we rented these little pedicabs. And here I am, ready to go, riding style here. My feet were getting tired already. Here's old Jim and his pedicab, we're ready to roll. Jim's from Oklahoma, so we really had quite a bit in common, me being from Arkansas. I think the main reason Jim and I became such close friends is after we finished tech school and we were processing out to an air base, we had to get all of our shots, getting ready to go to Japan or Korea. You know, Jim was right in front of me in line, and we were chatting away, real confident like. He looked around and Nurse jabbed him with a needle and old Jim fainted. He collapsed right in front of me and I caught him. When he come to, I was sitting on a bed by him waiting to make sure he was all right. Everybody else was gone. Boy, he was embarrassed. So I played it down and like, oh man, I was scared to death of needles too and don't feel bad. He was always talking about how he hadn't had anything to eat that morning, but boy, he was sure embarrassed when he passed out with that needle. And boy, that shot they give us is one to knock you out. That's tetanus shots, nothing to laugh about. Two of the ancient guard towers, or living quarters for guards probably. A couple of spots where you can look through the old moat and the wall into the palace grounds. And I forget, but I think this is Emperor's Library complex or building here. Another view looking inside the grounds. This looks like it might be the administrative part where they have all the records and run the personnel operations. This is a monument to one of the Japanese heroes. Sorry to say, I don't remember any of them. Another monument to the hero. This one looks like it's back in the old Shogun feudalism days. This might be a statue to the famous hero my girlfriend was telling me about, because I think he was fighting the Russians when they tried to make him surrender. Instead of him surrendering, he drew his sword and looked him right in the eye and cut his stomach open and took out his intestines in his hands and threw them in their face. That's supposed to be typical Japanese brave character. It might have been the other one with sitting on top of that monument with a sword, but this one looks like it might have been during that time. But he's still revered as a brave and courageous man for that act. I like this shot also. You walk up on this bridge and you can see the big cart swimming around in the moat. Shot gives you an idea of where the complex is located. You can see the big buildings right there downtown, and then over to your left is part of the wall of the palace grounds. Most of these buildings downtown like that are occupied by the headquarters of 4 Eastern Air Force and other units. This is a view of the Japanese Diet building in the back, or like our House of Senate, or Congress, I guess you'd say. And I'm taking a break. Here's the entryway to the pagoda, or place of worship. This is where the emperor goes himself. It's the world famous one you're always hearing about. Of course, the Japanese favorite symbol is a flower chrysanthemum. That's what those emblems are on the canopy there. This photograph here is so big I don't think I can get much of it in. That's a little better. This is a very ancient building. It made it through the Second World War without getting burned and bombed down. Very beautiful around there. A lot of trees, very peaceful scene. Here's a garden scene. It's not the palace or anything, but right on the other side of those trees, the traffic going by like crazy, and it's so nice and peaceful here. You felt like you were out in the country. That's what I like about the Japanese. They can take a little spot and create beauty out of it and peace. This is one of the buildings where General MacArthur's headquarters is at, downtown Tokyo. My good friend George Fusler in Louisiana worked there for his part of his tour, and then he was out at Johnson Air Base, I think, near Tokyo. Jim and I saw these two American female GIs taking pictures, and we thought we'd really lucked out and run on to a couple of dates. They wouldn't even talk to us. They weren't particularly thrilled about seeing another American anyway. They were all over the place, of course, but we didn't even get a chance to flirt. This monument is called the Three Graces of Peace, which is a famous theme. I think there's quite a few monuments based upon these three female figures. The new Japanese Constitution outlawed war, armies, and their vow was for peace from now on, so I think a lot of them really mean it. If they rearm again and become dangerous again, it'll be Americans' fault, because the Japanese, I think they had enough. Well, the American GI, well, I think they were Army. They weren't very friendly, so we decided to go back to our hotel. Here we are back at our hotel. No Jim and the bar girl. This is a view from our hotel room window. This is out in the outskirts of Tokyo, where the price is a little more reasonable. Jim and one of the bar girls. Well, Jim was quite the lover boy. Jim having a good cool beer after our extensive walking. As you can see, the Japanese beer, really big bottles. They have some of the best beer in the world, though, once you get used to it. I like these Japanese robes. They're very light, very comfortable. I always like this shot up by the little fish pond up behind the hotel. Very small yard. Of course, I was out there trying to play with a little boy. He wasn't exactly that shy. His babysitter sure watched him, and really nice. He was the hotel owner's little boy. Here I am inside the little restroom or lounge area. Believe it or not, we sat around and read a lot, took it easy because we had both been working very hard for a couple of years, had a good break. I always had a couple of books shoved in my pocket. I had to wait in line somewhere. I always took out a book and started reading. Here's Jim out by the fish pond. I wish these had been in color. Here I am back in Nagoya, Japan. Went over on a visit to Ron Matz and his girlfriend Sadiko, new apartment. Brand new building put up. They got a nice little one bedroom with a little kitchen privilege. It was really nice. Cold, windy day that day. And the big day finally arrived. We got our orders going home. So here we are down at the Airman's Club having a big celebration. The place was packed because there was a lot of us going. There's Ron, I think, getting ready to open the champagne. There's Ron, his girlfriend Sadiko, and Ritter on the right there. I think that's Godfrey over there. Well, Ron and I was going to pull a shrewd deal. We had letters sent showing that we had some money in the bank in case we needed funds. And we were going to take a delay en route to the States. We were going to go stop at Hawaii and have a good time and fly on into the States and avoid that long ship ride. We'd come over on the ship, so we certainly weren't looking forward to going back on that packed like sardine trip. Of course, Sadiko wasn't very happy seeing Ron take off, but we were very thrilled. We always were happy when someone went home. We always had parties. And here we are, Tent City, Tachikawa. They took one look at our letters about our money and all that stuff, and the guy just took them and wadded them up through the wastebasket. I started to protest and throw a fit. They just looked at me real bored, like, everybody pulled that bull. And then he told us that didn't apply anymore. We couldn't do it anyway. Of course, the flying was so popular at that time, just about all the NCOs had the flights all booked in advance for months and nothing flat. So eventually the Air Force got smart, started flying all their people. But we had to face the facts. We were going to be there for a few days and process like everybody else and get on that boat. Here's O'Don Heath with his bill pulled down over his nose there. And we run into this Meyer, another guy we went to tech school with in Oklahoma. All those guys that got sent over to Korea or different parts of Japan. We ran into quite a few old buddies up there from tech school days as we were processing out. It's almost like old homecoming week. Here's one of the long chow hall lines. This was everyday occurrence, 3 times a day if you want to eat. Nothing else to do except get shots, process paperwork, and lay around and read. Finally, the big day arrived when we were all ready to process out and go on that little short train ride down to the bay. And here we are down at the port, getting ready to get on the boat. They had one of the big old cargo doors open. It's just level with the dock. All we did is just walk right onto the ship. It's pretty convenient this time. They had Air Force band playing. A lot of civilian people was on the boat. Wives and children going back to the States. A lot of their friends there to see them off. A lot of husbands seeing their wife off. People started throwing confetti and screaming and everything as usual, and we started pulling out. It was pretty exciting, but also sort of made me feel sad in a way. I guess I felt sad and nostalgia because no one was yelling, "Bye, John. See you, John." Boy, I was sure glad to get out of there. Shot of the bay and the big ships waiting to get loaded up or take off. About ocean crossing is you get up and make up your bunk in the morning and they run you up on deck. I don't care if it's raining or what, cold, sleet, they make you sit up there. I think one time they took pity on us, let them get in the stairwells and sit down. I forget my buddy's name over here to the left. He was Chicano from Modesto, I think, or Stockton, somewhere near Sacramento, so we hit it off right away, and I think he lived in Sacramento one time, I'm not too sure, but we were pretty good buddies at that time. And here's the shot of the ship, the General Hugh H. Gaffney. Nothing like being home in good old Citrus Heights with a good old faithful dog waiting there to see you. After being home for 30 days on leave, I reported into Williams Air Force Base down at Phoenix, Arizona. The day I got there, it was 114, and I thought I was going to pass out. Of course, it's dry heat, easier to take. I was hoping I would have got Mather or McClellan, someplace near home. So I didn't like this assignment too well. Never did like desert country to live in. But I was assigned to a hospital unit in medical supply. Had a terrific boss. Everybody in the squadron had a lot of support trying to get me promoted while I was there. The final 2 years in the Air Force, well, year or some months. I made staff sergeant while I was there, mainly because my bosses, well, some of the others too, were really trying to push and get me promoted, thinking I would stay in. My boss actually got me a commission, and I couldn't believe it. All I could do is want to get out and go back to my little job at the grocery store. That was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. I was one of my buddies that made staff sergeant in 4 years. As an NCO, I got my own private room. Well, I had it fixed up. It wasn't very fancy. Later, they took some of the empty barrack space and let us NCOs have apartments with a kitchen, sitting room and bedroom piece, which is really nice. I almost stayed in, to tell you the truth. Here I am after playing golf one day. I was liking that game, playing quite a bit. See in the back there's Peggy, Dorothy, and Mary and Jesse's picture on the wall. I forget these old buddies' pictures, but these guys I run around with down there. This little guy was funny. He was short, looked like a little grammar school kid most of the time, but he was always upbeat and laughing. I wish I remembered his name. Graves on your right. He was always in the hospital. He always had something wrong with him. He had a cyst on his tailbone. He was a good buddy of mine. Almost every time I went downtown, it was with him. I forget the other guy's name. He was from Orangeville, California, so we used to have a lot to talk about. He was a little more quieter than Graves. I went down on a visit when I was going to Arkansas on vacation, stopped by, and this guy on your left is still there. Here's one of my medic friends, Johnson. I remember his name. Real good kid. Really got along well. What I didn't like about being NCO, I was out there constantly in charge of some detail, making sure the airmen were cleaning up the barracks and watering those stupid bushes. Being in desert country, we spent half our time flooding the yards to water and keep the grass and the plants growing. I shouldn't show this picture. I look like death warmed over. We'd gone out the night before and had a really wild party, and we got, well, I don't think we'd been to bed then. It's getting daylight. And we're getting ready to leave. Old Shipley there in shorts, he later came up to Orangeville to see me and Bobby when he got discharged from the Air Force. But boy, I look like I'm skin and bones. Well, Cousin Pete, he came by in his car and was on his way to California to take Johnny home. It sure worked out great.